You have to click continue. Yeah. Are you going to play the YouTube clip? Okay.
Welcome, everybody. Just waiting for a few more folks to join in. I'd like to welcome you all to our second in a series of Jewish film webinars. Before we begin, as we're waiting for folks to join in, I'd like for you to enjoy this short performance by one of our panelists, Sharon Owens, singing a fan favorite, Send in the Clowns.
I'm not getting any audio.
Me neither.
Neil, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm not getting any audio. Are you hearing her sing? Are you hearing Sharon?
I'm not hearing it, no.
Yeah, it's just a picture. I'm not getting any audio.
It's a little glitchy.
And it's.
Oh, well.
I apologize.
That's okay.
Welcome to the Zoom curve.
Yes.
Anyway,
I apologize.
It's a phenomenal rendition.
Oh.
And super moving, and we're going to get that link to everyone so they can take a look at it afterwards. Is that possible, Neil?
Absolutely. I will send it in the...
Post a link so you'll be able to see it on your own and share in the magic of Sharon's extraordinary talent.
Wow. Thank you.
So, hello again.
Hello again.
That's
Neil Diamond.
My name is Neil Popish. I am the program director with the Jewish Community Center of Southern Nevada, a division of Jewish Nevada. I welcome you to our second in a series of Jewish film webinars brought to you by the JCC, powered by Jewish Nevada and the Las Vegas Jewish Film Festival. I am thrilled to welcome not only from folks from Southern Nevada, but we have people tuning in from Miami and New Orleans and New York and many other places from around the country. If I missed you, please, in the chat, tell us where you're from. We will be announcing our next film webinar in the next couple of days, so please check your email or follow the JCC of Southern Nevada on Facebook for the announcements of any upcoming films. If you have any questions for Joshua Abbey or Sharon Owens, please use the Q&A button on the bottom of your screen. Once Joshua has completed his Q&A with Sharon, we will ask as many questions as possible, also depending upon time. I hope you all enjoyed the documentary, Barbra Streisand, Becoming an Icon, 1942 to 1984. Now I'd like to introduce our panelists. First, I have Joshua Abbey. Joshua is the director of the Las Vegas Jewish Film Festival, the longest running film festival in Nevada. He created the Las Vegas Literary Film Festival when he was the program director at the Summerlin Library, and he was founder and director of Cinevegas International Film Festival. He has served as chairman of the City of the Las Vegas Commission and as gubernatorial appointee to the Nevada Arts Council. He has a Bachelor of Arts degree in theater from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and a Master of Fine Arts degree in producing from the American Film Institute in Hollywood, California. He has an extensive background in the arts and has produced numerous visual arts, dance, music, literary, theater, and film projects in Las Vegas, New York City, Los Angeles, and Switzerland. Joshua has worked as the program director for Las Vegas Jewish Federation and as an executive director of the Jewish Family Service Agency. Sharon Owens, with a staggering vocal range, Sharon's uncanny resemblance and spot-on vocal match to Streisand's tone has landed Miss Owens international films, commercials, TV shows, and stage performances. Over a 3-decade career, Sharon has passionately pursued and achieved a slew of artistic goals, consistently reinventing her tribute to Streisand in order to break new creative grounds in the entertainment industry. Sharon is currently the star of an Enchanted Evening with Barbra tribute show. Josh, I hand it over to you.
Thank you, Neil, so much for introducing us and hosting us. Welcome everyone who is participating. I hope you've had a chance to see this obscure but truly remarkable biography. I originally saw the documentary at the Toronto Jewish Film Festival a couple of years ago, and it has not had wide distribution, so I thought it would be a really intriguing and great film for us to enjoy and then also talk about. And who better to help moderate this than someone who is the embodiment of the spirit of Streisand and who is a Las Vegas resident. Sharon, how long have you lived in Las Vegas?
Well, hi. Oh, I've been here for, I'm going on about 16 years.
Wow.
So, yeah, I can't believe it. It's flown by. 16, 17 years. I'd have to do the, let's see, 2004. So
you just saw the film. What was your impression?
Just saw the film. Oh my gosh, it was wonderful. And, you know, at first, you know, when we kind of talked about it, you're like, there's a few obscure things, and I'm thinking, oh, I have done so much studying, you know, nothing is going to surprise me. But there were things I had never seen or heard before. And it was a lot of fun watching it. It really was. It was a great documentary.
So tell us in a nutshell your genesis of discovering Barbra. And then I'm assuming you were a performing artist studying theater and music theater or music in general.
Yeah.
Tell us how you got into the art and into the industry and what attracted you to Streisand.
Well, that goes way back, but you know, the very, very beginning, if you want to use the word genesis, you know, I'm not from that generation of Barbra. No, I'm not saying that, you know, I was an 80s girl. So she had already made such a huge name for herself, and even like the documentary talked about, she had reinvented herself. So I didn't know that 60s, kind of the 70s Barbra. My sister did. And so I would hear the songs played in my sister's room, my older sister, 8 years older than me. And so I knew who Barbra was. I knew the songs, but it wasn't until after high school, going out as a performer, like you said, musical theater, and I landed a role in a small community theater, Princess Winifred, Once Upon a Mattress. And when they came to the show to review it, it said, "A star, pardon the expression, is born." Because I must have been so Streisand-like even before I knew I was Streisand-like. I didn't really know. And from that point on, people would say, "Oh, you sound like her," or "You do some comedy like her." But it didn't hit me until I moved to Los Angeles, Los Angeles, and I worked in a dinner theater called Tibby's Music Hall. And that's where we waited on the tables. And I'm not using my Jewish accent right now, but I might go into it. But we waited on the tables, and the producer said, you know what, for the next show, I want you to sing for your big soprano number, He Touched Me. And I said, you want me to sing He Touched Me? You know, there's so many beautiful songs. And he said, yeah. And I said, can I spoof it? And he said, oh, I don't know. I'll give you one night try to spoof it. And if it flops, we're going back to the way I want it, my way. And so the opening night, I got the wig, and I had the nails and the hair, and and I turned around and went, He touched me, and that started a little bit of an audience. I did that for 3 months, spoofing the character. And then at the end of the run, they said, Sharon, that's you might be onto something. And so I started taking it more seriously and studying the proper mannerisms and intonations of her singing. And I landed a Legends in Concert gig, and I've been doing that ever since.
What's really interesting to me about her that I learned in the film and through my research is that originally she wanted to be an actress. She was focused on acting and making it as in the theater, and then hopefully moving on to film as well. And it was almost by accident that her voice is what became the platform that catapulted her into fame by performing in nightclubs in New York and just stunning audiences with her gift. But it's interesting because it's kind of the reverse of how you came into, what you do, portraying her. So when did you first see one of her films? And try to share with us, what aspects of her persona really inspired you? Why you would dedicate so much of your life to
that's a good question. That's very interesting because, like I told you, the generation gap between her career and then me coming up in the 80s, she wrote, produced, sang, starred in Yentl. It was such, and like the documentary talks about, that was something that no woman had ever done. So that right there was my base. I can remember, I was in college during that time. I skipped around at a few different colleges, but I ended up finishing at the University of South Florida in Tampa. But I would have the old Walkman on, and I would listen to that Yentl soundtrack. Oh my gosh, singers out there, and I would even tell young singer students, talk about learning how to place her sound and the resonance. That is the soundtrack. She's phenomenal on that soundtrack.
So let's ask a couple of obvious questions, which I'm sure the audience will if I don't. Have you ever met her? Has she ever been in the audience when you performed? What's the closest interaction directly you've had with her?
Okay. I'll answer that in order that you just asked me. That question is the first one. Have I ever met her? That is the number one question that people will ask me when they're walking out of a show and we do a meet and greet. Mm-hmm. No, I have never met her. I would faint. No, I'm teasing. I don't think she's ever seen me. She's never contacted me. I've never contacted her, but I have met her florist. At least they said that they're her florist. I've met a few people that said that they were cousin from another cousin from another in Miami. But I've never met her. I've never came close enough. The only thing I've done is I have attended her concerts, 2 of her concerts here in Las Vegas, actually. And, everyone was crying around me, and I'm going, oh, I don't hold my microphone the right way. I need to fix that.
So the fans who flock to you are obviously her fans as well, true? For them, is it almost a vicarious experience to, like, they're meeting the real deal when they get to come backstage or see you after the show? How do you manage that?
I think interestingly enough, I do think that many fans are big fans of Streisand. If they're coming to see a concert of me, they do definitely love Streisand. They love her music, unless, of course, the wife dragged her husband, and he might say, oh, I never, but I really enjoyed it, But I think people separate. They do separate. At least I hope they do, because, and I say this completely honestly, no one can fill her shoes. I mean, they just, I try hard. Boy, do I try, but those are some big shoes to fill. So
we were talking before, in the scope of her enormous talent, there really are no peers. I mean, there are no examples of someone who can write and act and direct and sing and is comedian, dramatic actress, on and on and on and on. A big part of her appeal is her personality. And in the beginning, it was her development of her style, her Brooklyn sense of humor and her banter, that just really made her appeal that much stronger beyond her core talent. So how do you incorporate that into your act, the dialogue that she has with her audience?
Well, and that is a good question. Boy, no wonder you're good at this.
And I didn't prepare any of these for you.
Wow, that, it's a good question, because, getting a little deeper into the tribute world, a lot of tribute artists, they will study the character, and they're so hooked on being purists. They say the exact same thing that that their so-called, legend that they're impersonating. And they say the same things, and they might say the same, and people will say to me, you didn't say hello, gorgeous, and I'll say, well, I kind of let it be as if Streisand was there, as if Barbra was talking to you right now,
Because when Barbra performs, she doesn't perform Barbra. She's herself.
Right. And so that's why when I'm talking to an audience, I kind of embody that Streisand, and I might not say anything that maybe something she would say or not say, but so that's kind of how I would answer that question, Josh. So
it just must have been such a romantic time in the 60s, and in New York, and playing those clubs and meeting those other young aspirants. I mean, didn't she go to high school with Neil Diamond?
Yeah.
And perform with Phyllis Diller, in nightclubs. I mean, it just must have been such an exciting time to be trying to make it, much different than it is today. So let's, before we open it up for questions from our viewers, let's talk a little bit about the situation right now with performing arts in Las Vegas and entertainment, which is in such a precarious and uncertain state. And you, as a performer who makes their living from the tourists and, you know, the audiences. How are you personally contending with it? What are you hearing from your colleagues in the industry?
Oh my goodness.
Do you have any insights that will help the rest of us understand the big picture? Because it's just, it's such a conundrum right now, how it's going to get back to normal. Right?
And you are right. You know, one thing I can say off the cuff, maybe jumping ahead a little bit of what you said, as a community, as musicians, singers, actors, and you might not hear this, we are all helping each other try to figure this out, try to figure out the unemployment situation. You know, none of us, you know, when you're an independent contractor, you're never employed by a company. So this has been a different situation that the federal government has allowed us to at least try to get us through. They don't know anything about us. I'm not kidding. Even the state, they don't have the proper questionnaires for us to answer, or how they can look at how to help us. So it has been a floundering experience, and we're all trying to help each other. And that is just because we have lost months, 6, 7, 8 months of contracts. And then we don't even know after that if we're going to, we don't even know after that. So to be honest with you, I don't know how stressed we are yet, but maybe ask me in 4 months. then I might be really going, okay, what's going on here? So 3 months, 4 months.
But there is a family of the performers.
Oh my gosh.
That is a tight network, and it's
absolutely,
it's bringing you a lot of comfort and support. That's wonderful to hear and know about.
Absolutely. We are in touch with each other and leading to each sites. Go to this site, go to that site. And that's kind of how we've made it for these 6-7 weeks so far.
Tell us quickly how people can reach you, probably through your website, right?
Yes.
What is your website? How do people find out more about you? And
SharonOwens.net.
That's easy.
SharonOwens.net. It has a link to the Facebook page, and we can go that way. They can like my page. They can like that page, and I can get in touch with them that way. And that would be great. And I'm also gonna put your you know, the JCC.
The film festival too.
Yes, the film festival. Get that. That's amazing. What an amazing idea.
So Neil, are you still with us? Hello.
I am here.
Okay, good. I have to explain, I do not have high blood pressure. I do not know why I'm so red, other than I've been in the sun a little bit, but just in case people are wondering if I'm about to fall over, I'm fine. But Neil, bring us some questions if you have any. Or
I do have one right now. Hopefully we'll get a few more.
Everyone should participate, so please ask anything you like.
Yes, please. So I have a question from Natalie.
Ah,
And Natalie would like to know.
In New York?
I don't know where Natalie is from, but
Natalie!
Do you think if Barbra had been born in the past decade or two, do you think she would have had an easier or more difficult time breaking into the industry, considering how unique and ambitious she is?
What a good question. Because that's a really good question, Natalie. And why I kind of relate to that, because born in the generation, once again, like I say, when I say born, when I graduated, you know, I grew up 80s and 90s. I don't fit in my decade. You know, I can't tell you how many bands, you know, I was in, and they're singing top 40 and I can't even sing. I'm like, can we sing Evergreen? You know, and that's not what they want to hear. So interestingly enough, Barbara may have been able to hang a little bit earlier, but you know, I think her Broadway standard, that sound that she started and kicked off with in her career, that's just, I think that's just what made her. I think she was born at the perfect time. It was like the stars lined up for her, and it was meant to be. That's what I think.
And by the way, it is Natalie from New York, and she says hello.
You know what? And a little bit about Natalie. That's so funny because we have been friends since she's not writing. I can't remember if it's 13 or 12 years old. She is a very, very big Streisand fan. And she contacted me here in Las Vegas when I was doing my show in Vegas. And we became friends. And I have watched Natalie grow up. And now she is working. I'm not sure, Natalie, if I'm right. She is working in New York City. And she is a journalist for Broadway. She has met famous producers, stars. Talk about a go-getter. That's Natalie. So love you, girl.
Thank you, Natalie.
All right, I have another question.
Yes.
And I think I kind of answered the question in the chat, but the question is from Larry, and he says, where can we view the film? And can you tell us about the film? This is Larry from South Carolina. So Larry, if you look in the chat, I put a link and where you can view this film again. I don't know if Josh wants to answer the question about.
Well, we can keep it up for a while longer. So those who are tuning in who didn't actually get a chance to see the film can certainly do that through the link.
Thank you.
What was the other part of his question?
Can you tell us a little bit about the film?
Well, it's a BBC, British Broadcasting production, and it was produced in Belgium. And it is one of the most comprehensive, detailed, Ken Burns almost, intense recollection of Barbara's upbringing from, her humble roots on the streets of Williamsburg in Brooklyn to her, her breakthrough in the city, through nightclubs and on Broadway, and up through her winning the Oscars for Yentl, which were historic in terms of the achievement of women artists.
I think what was also, Josh, the documentary that was so unusual were the, whenever she was being interviewed. I mean, those interviews, everyone knows Barbara does not like to do interviews. So, I mean, that has been a big, famous, bit by bit, putting it together. She does not like doing her interviews. So the fact that they showed those and she was so quirky and fun and things we'd never seen before. Larry, the person that is interested in these documentaries, this documentary, you'll see such a different side to her than you see now, or even. So that's what I loved about it.
Okay, I have another question. The question is the film is from 1942 to 1984. Do you think there will ever be another documentary about Barbara that would be from 1984 to present day?
Well, I was mentioning in our conversation before we started the Zoom session with everyone that it's a complete mystery to me why there hasn't been a biopic about Barbara's entire career and her life, because that would obviously be enormously interesting and a tremendous box office success. And the only problem would be trying to figure out who in the world could play Barbara for this project. Anybody have any ideas?
I'll take it. I don't think, oh gosh, without saying it, I think she would have to, if she is around, she would have to produce her own. She would be in control of it. She would want all the information to be right. So that's very interesting. I think if anything's past 1984, it's going to be done by her.
Well, we have a request from one of our listeners that it should be Sharon Owens.
Oh, I agree with that.
I'll take it.
And I also have another one, and this is exactly what I was thinking, Lady Gaga, but she doesn't have the range. And I agree, because Lady Gaga just has that similarity. You know, she may not be known as the typical beauty queen, but
Right.
she is beautiful in her own way, and she does have some major power ballads.
She's
She's got some
definitely
good vocals, yeah.
amazing voice, amazing.
She's the first person that comes to mind, but she's also too young.
No.
For the later part of her life.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Do we have any more questions? If you have any more questions, please just send them into Q&A.
Let's just take a couple more. Anybody out there lined up with questions, Neil?
Not at the current moment, nope.
I see this little chat, but I don't know how to look at it.
So what is your most favorite optimistic, positive Streisand song that people should listen to now to lift their spirits?
Well, the first thing that popped into my mind was Happy Days, because it's been used so many times during the Depression. I believe it was even used then. Well, that was High Hopes. Wait a second. High Hopes and then Happy Days.
Sinatra, yeah.
Yes. Somewhere has always been a powerful song that people like to listen to give them hope.
Can I put you on the spot? Would you consider doing an a cappella of Somewhere or a portion of it?
Oh my God, I was gonna say I didn't warm up. What do you want to? What? That's your favorite? There's a place for us somewhere, a place for us, peace and quiet and open air, wait for us somewhere. A little lower, but that's.
That was
there are a few more questions coming in, so okay. I'm gonna. Whoops. So really the first question that I have is, this is from Rhonda, who I believe lives in Las Vegas. Okay. Why didn't the documentary mention her absence from performing due to stage fright? Apparently started in 1967 when she forgot the words at a concert in Central Park. Right. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah. I don't know why they wouldn't mention that. I'm just talking off the cuff. Rhonda, did you say?
Yes.
Rhonda, I have done so much traveling as the tribute artist. And there's one thing very interesting that I have discovered, and that is when I perform in the States as Barbra and when I perform internationally as Barbra, they like completely different songs. They have a completely different knowledge of Streisand, or the common knowledge. Of course, everyone knows about the stage fright, but I'm asked different questions. If I was in the States, then I would be, let's say, in England or Europe. So that's interesting that this documentary was made in Europe, and that just might be something that they don't consider as being as serious as we do in the States. That would be my take.
I'd like to comment on the nature of stage fright. The greatest performers are great in part because they make it appear so easy and so natural. And it is anything but easy. It's the hardest thing in the world to give a performance of that caliber. And it's because the heart and the care and, you know, the need to be your very best is the fundamentals of what achieves that. And it's pretty easy to freeze up, you know, if you think you're falling short or you're not ready or there's some distraction.
Right.
Because it takes enormous focus and discipline to perform at that level.
Right. And if you do let that guard down, you know, when you're not concentrating or something distracts you, oh, absolutely, you can lose focus very quickly.
And you're not supposed to have a personal life that might interfere with your performance, right?
Right, right.
Something went horribly wrong the night before.
Right.
A relationship or with who knows, you know.
You know, but I do believe her stage fright was far more advanced, you know, far deeper than just those butterflies. I do think she did talk about, you know, she has talked about it before, you know, that terrible stage fright. I don't want to go on. I don't want to go on. So, but hopefully someday she does write that book and we get to know the real good stuff, you know?
You mentioned that she is writing a book. Is that actually for sure in the works?
Well, she has, I can openly say from reading things and hearing interviews, things that she did on Oprah, she is or has finished a book, but you know, we've yet to see it.
And how old is she now?
She just turned it, you know, April 24th. Oh dear, I knew that. I looked at it.
Well, it was 1942, the year she was born?
Yes.
So that she's 78.
78. Boy, that's a good math.
Oh, she just turned 79.
79. Oh, yeah. Wow.
No, I think she turned 78. Yeah.
Thank you, whoever wrote that.
I have a couple more questions here. This is from Bruce. I am today a big Streisand fan, and my daughter loves her talent. But growing up, she was much more popular with my parents' generation than mine. Why is that? What is her place in the machinations of American time, the 60s, counterculture, etc.? Do you think she is timeless?
What do you want me to chime in?
Sure.
You both can chime in probably. I think she's timeless. There's no doubt about it. But I do think that is very interesting, Bruce, that you asked that, because people will come up to me and say, you know, oh, my parents, they love you. But I wasn't too much of a fan. But then their daughter, like Natalie, you know, Natalie, who is young, now she's, you know, early 20s, but there was a resurgence and for the youth. So it did kind of, she took a little bit of a lull, but I would never say a lull. That's not a good word, because she's never had a lull. But, you know, she kind of went underground for a while and then came back up in that 90s concert that I like to portray her in, that comeback concert. And that's when all the youth started going, who is this? And she started doing Meet the Fockers and Guilt Trip and these new movies. And then Funny Girl started, those songs became popular with Glee. And people were, the kids were like researching it. So that's what I think happened.
And she without a doubt has carved out her immortality.
Right.
Through her recordings and her films, and hundreds of years from now, people will know who she is and be inspired by her. There's no question about it.
Legendary. You know, Frank Sinatra, Elvis, legend. I definitely. I mean, she's a living legend.
A major icon.
Yes.
All right, we have a question from Francesca. What was Barbara's relationship like with her mother after she was an established superstar?
I know that her mother did her very best to dissuade her from going into show business. It's been a bit since I've seen the film. I don't know if that's referenced in the film that much. However, once the success came, I know her mother was, thrilled. But beyond that, do you have any insight, Sharon?
Well, I know that she grew her nails long so she couldn't do the jobs, do the typewriter. I mean, that's why she said, I'm going to grow my nails long, so, I can't type. But, and I don't think she ever learned how to type to this day. That I believe she said on an interview. But, I have to be honest, and that's a great question. But when I do my performances, the fans know more about they've researched her personal life so much more than I have. I study her mannerisms and I study the way she walks and the way she talks and the way she might comment or she'll pull her lip down, and so fans will come to me and ask me those questions, and I'm like, oh, they would probably know better than I.
But we have to remember that she came out of the post-World War II Jewish culture of Brooklyn, New York, and she was not in a family of means, so she tasted real poverty, and her mother worked very, very hard to sustain the family, especially after her father died very young. So, that Jewish work ethic, that desire to strive to succeed, it must have been difficult for her mom to imagine, the potential disappointment of wanting to be an actress, coming from those roots. So it's completely understandable, the reservations that she
You're
had.
probably right. That's a very interesting thought. And hopefully she does write an autobiography and tell us those deep thoughts. That would be really, really neat to know.
Couple of the questions. One is, in the movie, it referenced her long-standing relationship with her manager, or her, is it the only manager she's ever had? And is it still her manager today?
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Marty Ehrlichman? Oh,
yeah, from the very beginning.
Am I right? Yep. Still to this day. Can you believe that? Now, don't quote me, but I do believe I've read this now, I have to put a little quotes around it and say that she has never written an autobiography. So nothing has come from her lips. But from what I understand, reading the biographies that I've read before, he would not take any money until she did. So that was the agreement, that he would not be paid. And, he was paid according to what work he got her, which is another, like we said, the Jewish, our work, we value, and how much we trust and how hard we work and our work ethic, that there's another perfect example. So. And
also, success at that level is never achieved alone.
Nope.
It takes some really strong support, and
a little small village.
Yeah, to achieve it, and even harder to sustain it.
Right.
All right. I have a question from Larry, and he says he wants to know if there's the possibility of a show, kind of like the Jersey Boys or the Cher show on Broadway. Any thoughts about that?
I have written, I have thought about it, I have met with people, but I have to be blunt, honest. I feel very strongly that something to that level is going to have to come from her. Mm-hmm. It really, I believe, and I'm going from a tribute artist point of view, you know, Sinatra shows, Elvis shows, these legends that people have tried to write and put on those kind of shows, they've been shut down. So, you know, you have to be careful, you know, how you go about something with that big of a legend, that big of an artist. It needs to be completely through that family, the estate, or the person.
And it's that way because
Absolutely.
their legacy is very, very important to them.
Absolutely.
And how they're going to be memorialized and
Right.
portrayed, and
Right.
they need to have that control. But you have to imagine that Barbra, being a master of marketing and promotion, has all this plotted out very, very well in her mind as to, you know, what she wants to achieve before she's done and how she wants her legacy to carry forward.
I would have to agree with you 100%. And we don't know that.
And I think we're in for some extraordinary
Can't wait. That'll be so much fun. That'll be so much fun.
But I still think Sharon should play.
I would love to, but you know.
All right, I have a question from Sarah, who says, can you please comment on how she doesn't know how to read music and yet she's a wonderful singer? Interesting.
Interesting. I think I have heard that. I have heard that comment before, but I can't remember where, that she said she doesn't know how to read music, or I've heard it. I don't think I've ever thought about it, but maybe the first time I heard it, and then now that you're saying it now, it's never crossed my mind.
I mean, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, yeah, but some people just have, you know, amazing ears. And I would say there's no doubt about it in my mind. She taught herself how to play guitar for A Star Is Born, for Evergreen. If you look at a recent documentary talking about A Star Is Born, she taught herself a concert. She talked about it in a concert. So. And
innate musicality is one of the most extraordinary gifts you can be born with. And it's hard to even imagine how people can just, without studying, have enormous aptitude. My brother, for example, never studied music and could listen to something and play it on the guitar, just naturally. Yes. And there are people, and Barbra obviously is one of them. She's a savant, you know, she's
prodigy, yeah. I definitely think you're right. And, you know, she's just natural. It's a natural talent. Vocal, everything, her acting ability, her comedic timing, it's just natural. You can't quite teach that, so.
But she did carefully study her peers, you know, the great singers of, you know, history, and she learned a lot, you know, from listening.
Right. Judy Garland, exactly. Listening to those, and then my generation, I did the same. I studied, you know, her vocals, listening very closely to placement and everything. So, but I do believe that listening to the very, very early Barbra, and this goes for many legends, their early sound, you can hear those copycats, but she develops her own as time goes on. She developed a sound all of her own, different than Judy Garland and those singers that influenced her.
And what makes it so extraordinary and profound is the deep emotional connection on a personal level with the meaning of the lyric and the song. It's a great acting performance.
It is.
To perform a song really well.
Mm-hmm. I have a question from Linda. What is her relationship with her sister, Rosalind Kind? I didn't even know that was her sister.
Yeah, that is her sister. Yeah, what is her relationship? I mean, once again, I wish boy, wouldn't it be neat to be her neighbor to know all this? But no, yes, we did. We saw her in concert. Her sister does guest appear in her concerts. Now that is her stepsister. I don't know if you knew that. That is a stepsister. So, but I do believe they have a wonderful, relationship.
Let's just do a couple more, Neil.
Okay. I have a question from Bruce. What do you think Barbara wants in her legacy? Is it the Camille Paglia, I'm sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly, line of social influence from the film? What do you think is personally important to Barbara as an artistic legacy?
Oh my gosh. What do you think, Josh? I have my thoughts on it. And, I will put my little input, because this was something the documentary was so I'd never heard her say. She was doing the interview. I can't remember with who it was, but they asked her the same question, Bruce. They asked her what is important to her, and she said, "Well, I'm wanting to decorate my house. I'm looking for neoclass. What did she say? And then she said that she possibly wanted to have a daughter. I had never, ever heard that before. And so talking about a legacy, my thought is going to be justice, the feminism. Yes, of course, she wants people to remember her work and her motion picture, the movies and the director. But my gut feeling, I think that is her work, but she wants people to remember her for what she stands for. But that would be my guess.
I think her feminist ideals,
right,
and the amount of success she's had in achieving that, and the symbolic import of it
right,
for other women in all walks of life, and in the struggle for equal rights for women in general.
Don't you wish we could ask?
What's that?
Don't you wish we could ask her? I wish we could call her up.
I think that's historic, what
right,
her accomplishments and her contributions are in that regard. But I also think part of her amazing charm is that she's just a normal Jewish girl from Brooklyn trapped in a superstar's body. She's real. She's unpretentious. She's just a good person.
Right.
And people identify with that. They feel it and they relate to it. And that's.
I don't think. I don't even think people know the tip of the iceberg of the money and the philanthropy. I don't even think people realize how much she has given to so many amazing charities. So, that always kind of, when I'm performing, because you have to remember, people think, when I'm in character and I'm in wig or I'm in my costume, they can say some pretty awful things, because she has a so-called reputation. So they'll say, and I'll think to myself or say, this woman is so much more than from all of the jokes and all of the things that you hear the negative. What she does behind the scenes that no one will ever know because she doesn't say anything. So huge shoes.
And in Judaism, the highest form of giving is to give anonymously.
Right.
So she's fulfilling, the prophecies of Maimonides in that regard. Okay, I think we should wrap it up, Neil.
I just want to mention that somebody, I thought maybe people would be interested, that there is a concert on Netflix about her. that it's a 2-hour concert music from 2018, we believe. If you have Netflix, you can look it up, and if you want to enjoy some more Barbra music, someone had mentioned that. So.
And you posted the link to Sharon's
I
video?
posted the link to that we couldn't hear earlier, yes, of Sharon singing, and I also reposted the link to watch the film, and I told people to be up for a couple of more days, and that's it.
Can you also add SharonOwens.net to that?
Absolutely.
So people can make contact afterwards.
Absolutely.
Sharon, I have to thank you so much. You were wonderful today, and it's such a great privilege to meet you. And I hope we will be able to continue to work together. I think you should start networking through the JCCs across the country, so that when people are ready to embrace performers and as a live audience, perhaps that can be a circuit for you. And there are some people in this community who are very well connected with the JCCs nationally, so we will try to assist you in that regard. Any closing remarks?
I just wanted to thank both yourself and Sharon for their time and expertise. And on behalf of the JCC and Jewish Nevada and the Las Vegas Jewish Film Festival, we want to thank you all for tuning in. We will be releasing information about our next film in the next couple of days, as I said earlier. We will just check your email and the JCC of Southern Nevada Facebook page for more information. And we look forward to our next webinar in the coming weeks.
And lastly, I just want to acknowledge again Richard Frankoff, who's been very instrumental in helping to produce this. Thank you, Richard. And keep tuned in. We're going to try and do exceptional programming like today on a regular basis for everyone. Stay well, stay safe.
Thank you, everyone.